The Big Trail Nation team welcoming you into another year on the hardwood with the Arkansas Razorbacks, our preseason basketball special going down, joined by Mike Irwin here on my far right, Evan Kamiko as well, breaking down all things Arkansas basketball. The football season, bit of a letdown right now here in Fayetteville, but hope is renewed with Razorback basketball in year 2 under John Calipari, and a program that has been among the best in the nation, guys, these last 5 years, advancing to the Sweet 16 in 2 of those seasons. Another 2 of those seasons, they were right on the doorstep of getting to the Final Four. And maybe this year, they might have the team to kick that door down.
Well, how about less anxiety? Because we kind of know each other a little bit, at least the 5 guys that came back, and then you add the guys to them. Less anxiety. We're like, okay, we have an idea of what we want to do. And I'm talking staff, players, everybody. Walked in, and when I said, let me see my team, there was no team. We had Lawson, who blew out his Achilles 2 days later. We had nobody, and we had to start all over. This year, we had a great summer, a great fall conditioning. The guys have really competed at a high level. I feel good about the team.
Nobody in college basketball a better salesman than John Calipari, and he brought quite a bit of excitement to primetime at the Palace a couple weeks back. A Midnight Madness throwback, if you will, with more than 12,000 fans showing up to see what the Razorbacks have for the 2025-2026 season. They got things started with the dunk contest, the marquee event on the night. And this is one of the most athletic teams in the country, and they did not disappoint. Billy Richmond, a perfect score with a 50. We'll call the thing a tie, even though the fans and the theatrics seem to give a nod to Trayvon Brazile for dunking over 7-footer Elmir Jafic in the three-point contest. One of the top freshmen in the nation, Malik Thomas, wearing the crown for 2025. Thomas ranked as the number 11 recruit in the country with a 5-star rating from ESPN, and he will be a factor in the Hogs backcourt rotation coming up this season. So there are some good returners and some really good additions too. Coach Cal going to the transfer portal to add some experience and some size, and then there are the 5-star freshmen that we're talking about that Calipari always hangs his hat on. Evan Kamiko right here on my right, joining me now for more on some impact newcomers for this team this year.
Yeah, Trey, look, there's always positives, especially when you bring in guys like those 3 you've already mentioned. When Eric Musselman took over the program in 2019, it was an abysmal season in 2023 that saw must depart for USC following that year. And the feeling that maybe this isn't something came back right away when you hired John Calipari, but year 2 under Coach Cal feels different with this team's aspirations higher than the last.
I'm just excited about, the season and the pieces that we have, coming in, the freshmen, the transfers, the guys that was already here. So I feel like this is just a perfect, puzzle being put together to showcase something great.
Puzzles are complicated, but returning pieces certainly help. The culture for Coach Cal's Razorback program is set. Year 2 is about getting to the next level with everyone healthy ahead of opening night.
We've seen how they were once they were healthy. They were a great team at the end of the year. And I think everybody came back from last year, all great players, all got better. But yeah, everybody's still great, great teammates. And just learning from them is great every day.
The focus during the fall, getting all the pieces to fit the mold.
When you put a team together like this, high-level players, high IQ, kind of all gels by itself. You know the game of basketball is just X's and O's at that point. And just understanding, how a guy likes to play. What space he likes, where he likes to shoot from, where is his hot spot? Just things like that. It's really simple, honestly. And when you start that off the court, that's what makes on the court even easier. And if you don't have any chemistry, then things won't go well for your team.
Add in one of the best schedules in the entire country. Hog fans are going to find out quick if the team gels together.
It's going to be super high-level games, super competitive, super physical games. I'm super ready for it. I'm anticipating it all just because I know that it's going to be a great year for us. But you don't really know how it's going to be until you get there. So it's like, I'm just ready for it. I'm ready for whatever. I'm ready to battle. I'm ready to win. I'm just ready to achieve it all.
And Trey, if it all fits right like the guys think it will, there might be another banner hanging inside Bud Walton Arena this time next year.
Yeah, it could be a big-time year. Arkansas, some really high expectations, trying to dive into now some of the top topics we're going to have this year coming up for the Arkansas basketball team. And really number one to me, guys. Mike, I'll start with you. Was year 1 of the John Calipari experience a success? There was a lot of pressure on him going into that Kentucky game, and they seemed to turn it around. They get to the Sweet 16. They met expectations.
Absolutely, it was a success, especially with the injuries and then the way it all started in conference race. And like you say, going to Kentucky, that game was huge. You have to at least play well in that game. They won it and won it convincingly. And then I think that helped them turn things around. But really, when they got in the NCAA tournament, that's where you saw what did Cal. His reputation over the last several years has been okay. You get Kentucky to the tournament, but then they
Can't get out of the opening weekend.
They can't move to the next round, the round of 32. And they don't only get around to 32, they go to the Sweet 16, and they're very close to going to the Elite Eight. So, yeah, it was a success.
Evan, just to be a contrarian here, you got the highest paid coach in the country. Maybe it should have been a little bit more, but at the same time, you know, he's establishing his culture, establishing his brand in Fayetteville just last year.
I'll disagree on the first thing, and I love what Mike said. And when you look at it, yeah, they turned things around in conference play, but at the end of the day, the expectation for this team, they were a top 16 team preseason. Obviously, Boogie Flan was a massive piece. Nellie Davis was supposed to be really big, but was inconsistent all year. Jonas Adu really didn't come on until the end of last season. So year one under Cal was a rousing success, and where I disagree is that when you get to the tournament, right, like, yeah, you wanted to get to the Sweet 16, but you would have kind of been happy if you made the round of 32. And you look at who Cal had to beat in the NCAA tournament: Bill Self in Kansas, as well as St. John's and Rick Pitino. It was not an easy path. And let's be real, like, they should have beat Texas Tech and gone on to the Elite Eight. Yeah. It was very close. We were watching it here. Everyone was screaming around me. I'm like, guys, I need to focus. I got to cut highlights. But I think it was a rousing success in year one. It was everything you wanted, and then a little bit more. But again, you still feel a little disappointed with how it went. If they got things going because of health, that was a big factor. They weren't healthy last year. This year, they're going to be.
I am drunk on red Kool-Aid here coming up for 2025, 2026. They're better. They're healthier, a lot more mature on the roster in some of the additions they've added in the transfer portal. So, Evan, go back to you. What are you thinking this year? Is it Final Four or bust? Do they have to really take that big leap?
The ceiling is the floor. It has to be the Elite Eight. You have to do better than what you did last year. And Coach Cal scheduled this year. He scheduled the way. Wow, I can't speak right now. The way he scheduled this team this year is with that expectation that you need to take a step forward. But you look at what he brought back. Trevin Brazil has been nothing but spectacular all summer, and the quick glimpses that we've got to see on him. Carter Knox is going to take a step forward. Same with Billy Richmond, as well as DJ Wagner. And then you add some of these big freshmen that Coach Cal is known for all over the years. And this year you've got Acuff and Malik Thomas, two of the top 10 guys in the country. It's really exciting. The floor is the Elite Eight. You have to reach the Elite Eight this year. Otherwise, the noise around this program, Mike, is going to get really loud.
Well, again, I wasn't at the Hot Springs scrimmage, whatever the two scrimmages they have. I talked to people that were there. And they absolutely echoed what Cal said afterward, was there was no defense being played. Now, that's what happens sometimes when you got an inter-squad scrimmage, everybody wants to score. So here's the issue. Until Friday night, when you play a real opponent, that's when we'll get an idea. But I have a feeling, just looking at all the players on this team and comparing it to a year ago, I think they'll be a much better team. So here's what I'm going to say. They'll finish much higher in the SEC.
Yeah.
But what won't happen is you get to the NCAA, who knows? Who knows? I mean, that's a crapshoot. You know, you just roll the dice, and it's whoever they send up against you. You might go up against the team that nobody's thinking about, and they get to the Final Four. I've seen that happen before.
And the schedule is absolutely brutal. Evan was highlighting that. All 8 teams, forget the Final Four, they play all 8 teams that were in the Elite Eight 1 year ago. 10 opponents ranked in the preseason top 25. So it is an absolute gauntlet, but that's a lot of opportunity, a lot of excitement against some big-time brands playing the likes of Duke, Houston. If they're near the top of the conference, they're likely going to be a top seed in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at what the schedule looks like. It's all quad 1 opportunities. You don't see as many quad 3 and quad 4 games as you might have saw last year or in previous years under Eric Musselman during the non-conference schedule. So it's an exciting time. You get all these marquee games, but you're also bringing this team around the country to show the fan base what they're going to be. You're going to go to New York, which Madison Square Garden last year was electric. I know it's in New Jersey. I'm a Jersey guy. It's Prudential Center, whatever. Don't get me started on that one. But you go to Chicago, you go to Houston, you hit these big Arkansas alumni markets that you're going to show this team around. And I think that's massive for not only these guys to show what Arkansas basketball is going to be about under Coach Calipari, but also, again, in general, to spread the team and get on national TV almost every week.
Well, I mean, it's going to be fun. I mean, you're not going to be hurting for big-time games. I think the crowds will be much better in November and December than they were a year ago. just what we saw on primetime in the Palace was a good indication of that. That was a big crowd, and much more than I expected. So I think the excitement is there. The big games are there. They're going to be on TV. They're going to be against marquee opponents. Even if you lose a game or two down the line, I think people are going to be excited. And then what will happen as you get into the season, two things are going to happen. Look, I understand in basketball the whole deal is what happens in the NCAA tournament, but come on. Fans still want you to compete for a conference title. And how long has it been since Arkansas has won the SEC? Come on, it's been forever. So do it. Just do it. Figure out a way to make it happen.
Yeah, Anderson, he got him to a championship game probably about a decade ago, but it has been a long time since they've reached that final in the conference championship, conference tournament kind of situation. But if they're near the top of the tournament, the top of the conference this year, absolutely, they're going to be a top 5, top 10 team heading into the NCAA tournament. What game are you guys most looking forward to? There's some tremendous matchups on the schedule this year. Duke, Thanksgiving Day in Chicago. Normally we're thinking Thanksgiving, we're thinking football. You also got the Sweet 16 rematch coming up with Texas Tech. They play Houston, national runner-up. Florida, Kentucky, both coming to Fayetteville. Mike, what are you circling on your calendar?
It's got to be the Kentucky game here. Because of what happened last year, I'm telling you,
and the fan base will support Cal on that day.
I watch what comes out of Kentucky. Matt Jones does this podcast. He's a radio guy there.
Not the football man. I know you're talking
He's
about
always pushing this Arkansas versus Kentucky thing. His latest one, he talked about how Kentucky has spent like 4 times as much on their players as Arkansas. They've only spent $4 million. We've spent $18 million or whatever. And so the implication is Arkansas is in trouble this time around, because we've got better players and we're going to do this. I want to see that. I don't care who they have. When they come in here, Kentucky is going to be under all kinds of pressure.
I'm going to go a non-conference matchup, and somewhat to that degree, I'll go to the Louisville game in the ACC-SEC Challenge. I don't think we're talking about this game enough. What Pat Kelsey has done at Louisville is built them immediately back into a contender, and they should be up there in the top 25 all season. So I really like that matchup. I think that's one to really keep an eye on. And why I'm talking about the crowd is because you mentioned it already, Mike, that we'll see what the crowd's going to look like November, December. If it's anything like it was Duke a couple of years ago when Arkansas got the upset, fans stormed the court, that was your first real indication of what the showout is going to be when you have SEC games starting at the end of December, really early January, I guess like January 2nd or 3rd. So that's the game that I've got my eye on, is the Louisville game. You've got a great ACC team coming into town. It's going to be electric. Another Wednesday night matchup. Do the fans show up? That's what I've got my eye on.
Mike, you remember whenever this place truly was hog heaven. National championships, Final Fours, Nolan Richardson. To me, though, they've really changed the perception of the program. John Calipari, as famous as they come in college basketball, he's just a cool guy. Is Arkansas now a destination kind of school where, hey, it could be their decade?
Well, I think so. And here, I've said this before, Arkansas has always gotten guys on the way up. Nolan was a guy on the way up, Eddie Sutton was a guy on the way up. This is the first time they've hired somebody that was big time before he ever got here. Now, there were some issues with him, and he looks reborn to me. He looks like a guy that said, okay, all these things you say I can't do, watch me do them. I think he's highly motivated. I think his players know about that. I think they want to prove it. I think the fans are solidly behind him. Here's what surprises me, because I've never been around him much except at press conferences when they played Arkansas. I didn't realize he's just interesting when he has a press conference. He really is. Some of the stuff he says really makes you stop and think. And he really is a guy that likes players. You don't get the impression, I just want these guys to come in here and win. He wants them to get an education. He wants as many that can go to the NBA, he wants to help them to get in. He cares about this success. He wants to help families. That's what he said.
Evan,
and it's not just talk.
Evan, the line he's been using a lot lately, I want to be transformational, not transactional. Well, he's transformed Arkansas into a really big brand.
And it's about what he's not necessarily doing on the court, but in the community as well. You've got to get these people to trust you, who pretty much grew up, a lot of people my age grew up in Arkansas hating Coach Calipari, knowing what he did at Kentucky and being like, man, we wish we had that guy. So it's going out into the community, having these women's clinics, having
13,000 people for prime time at the Palace.
Exactly, having these men's clinics, having fan day, and showing them who he really is and showing him the guy on the inside, not the Coach Cal that I grew up in New Jersey watching, not knowing a ton about college basketball, but who who this guy is, what he represents. That is so important. And it just shows, again, that he cares about this place. And it wasn't like everyone's like, oh, he's just coming for the money. No, he's coming for much more than that. And it's to hang another banner in Bud Walton Arena.
All right, the Arkansas Razorbacks getting set for the 2025-2026 season. Going to be an incredible challenge up against that schedule. Game number 1, though, that better not be a problem. They open up with Southern. More to come here on our preseason basketball special after a quick timeout. Welcome back into our preseason basketball special. New year, new beginning for Arkansas women's basketball. 1 year ago, tiny little Oral Roberts coming into Bud Walton, and they smashed the Razorbacks. The coach for the Golden Eagles that day, Kelsey Musick, she now gets to call Bud Walton home as the Arkansas women's head coach, and we had the chance to sit down with Kelsey ahead of her first season on the Hill. Joined here inside Bud Walton Arena with the head coach of the Arkansas women's basketball team, Kelsey Musick. Kelsey, this is a very, two
I believe it because not only for the university, not only just for Fayetteville, but for the entire state of Arkansas. I try to remind my players, you don't just play for the university, you play for the entire state. And so this place is really special. The fans are extremely proud, and I just love their passion.
What kind of culture has it been like for you to try to instill here, and really just for you trying to adjust to a whole new world?
Our culture is at the forefront of what we're trying to do and establish in this first season. Faith, family, and fearless are pillars. So really trying to implement the culture, but also our style of play. I think it's extremely important that our players understand it is a true system, the dribble drive. We're going to play a high-octane, up-tempo offense, and helping them understand our style of play, our style of coaching, and just really that camaraderie and coming together as a unit is important in this first season.
Any kind of year one in a new place can be difficult for a lot of people, even in the modern era, college athletics, transfer portal, that kind of thing. You guys picked to finish dead last in the SEC. I heard you say it at media days, hey, that's a lot of motivation for us. We're going to wear that chip. What kind of message you expressed to your players about that?
I think, just helping them remember every day at practice, the opportunity they get to put on the Razorback uniform, the Razorback practice jersey, and to just, really instill that pride. That unity, and then just the fact that where we start or where we're picked is not where we want to finish, and it gives us something to really motivate us and work hard on a daily basis so we can get better and we can climb the ladder.
You got some newcomers that are going to be very important to you building the foundation of your program here. Wyvette Mayberry, one of the newcomers. A lot of people in Arkansas are going to remember that name. Also Talea as well. What do you expect from some of these girls getting on the floor and really establishing this new brand of basketball?
I think just, like I said, just the high-octane offense, playing together, really forcing that pace and that issue of, we want to average 80, 85 points a game. So we have to make sure that we force the pace. We have to be a unit on defense, but limiting our turnovers is going to be key right now as they adjust to this new style and the speed in which we want to play.
Why do you feel it has been a challenge here? Why has there been a little bit of a dip, and how hard can it be to, kind of get some traction back?
I mean, most things that are, there's a lot of things that are hard in life. So I like to embrace that opportunity and that challenge. And, I think that the fans are really going to give us a chance and come out and support us. Obviously, rev share, and there's a lot of financial things that have changed part of the NCAA world in college sports. But besides that, our players are going to put a good product on the floor, and they're going to play extremely hard with passion and energy. And I think that at the end of the day, fans want to see that.
All right, showing some love now to the Arkansas Razorback women's basketball team. Back here with Mike Irwin, Evan Chemico as well. The SEC guys, undeniably, it is the best conference in the country. South Carolina, an absolute national powerhouse. Add in LSU, Tennessee, Texas, OU. I think they have 5 teams preseason top 8 in the country. Mike, this is a tough road to hoe, a very tough rebuild. You remember whenever Gary Blair was here, he got that program somehow, some way to the Final Four. How did they build it back?
Well, with recruiting. And what I've been told about her is that she will go to AAU games, high school games, summer camps. She will look all over the place, JUCO ranks. And she has this amazing ability to spot somebody that's being overlooked and grab them and give them a scholarship and bring them in and develop them. I was told by year 3, it's not going to happen overnight, by year 3 she will have them up near the upper level of the SEC. That's what they believe, the people that support her.
Evan, is Arkansas ever going to be on brand with the likes of Tennessee, South Carolina, or we got to pump the
I
brakes,
think we
temper
gotta-
some expectations. It's going to take some time.
It's definitely going to take some time. What she's walking into is essentially a dumpster fire. Let's call it what it was. Last year, Mike Neighbors, obviously 2023, it didn't work out when you had Talia Scott, Samara Spencer, and company here, and that fizzled out. So Neighbors had to go the international route because of a lack of money and all of that. And that didn't end up very well because they were exactly where they were projected to be, which was the bottom of the SEC. So coming into this, I think it's nice to have, fresh energy. But look, you've got to win the fan base over, which by the end of last season, there were really maybe 2,000 fans attending every single game, and that was pretty much it in a stadium that seats about 20,000. So you've got to win the fan base over, and it's going to take some time to get to that level. Again, Rome wasn't built in a night. Arkansas women's basketball isn't going to be built in a night. But I think realistically, can they get to maybe that middle tier of the SEC this year? I don't see why not.
Just heard in that interview there, this team wants to play in the mid-80s. So that would be a more exciting brand of basketball. And, in talking to her, she's charismatic, she's charming, she's young, she's youthful, a lot of energy there. That it feels like they're going to put up a good product in the court. You okay with that? Like, hey, they won 3 games 1 year ago. Just, get out of the basement of the conference, and that's some good progress in year 1.
Yeah, that's all you want to see. And what Music did at Oral Roberts and stops before, look, she hasn't necessarily won at the Division I level. She hasn't been to the NCAA tournament. So that's where you've really got a red flag on her. But her team scores. She likes to play up tempo. Like you said, 80 points is their goal. It was kind of the same as Neighbors, but what difference is, Music's more get to the basket and score that way, maybe kick out. Neighbors is if you're open for 3, shoot it. So I think the play style is going to be really different from what you saw, but the core of it's going to be very much the same of we want to get out in transition, we want to play fast. But with Music, we want to get to the basket, and I think what they've done in bringing in a few people, Jenna Lawrence another year, Emily Clarkson, who you saw there, number 21, I think she's going to have a big year with being down low. I think it's exciting. I think you can get a little excited for what this team could be.
Mike, there's always intrigue anytime you have something new. You feeling the excitement? You drinking some of the Kool-Aid here to see what it looks like?
I just think what she has to do in year 1 is get more people in there. Mm-hmm. And what will happen, I promise you this, if they're playing a tougher brand of basketball, if they're fighting under the basket for rebounds, if they're going in and trying to score inside, if they don't just stand outside and shoot endless threes, and if they're not on that night, you're beat in the first quarter because you're just not hitting your shots. Fans are tired of that. So if they see something different and a different approach, I think you're going to get people to start coming back. Gary Blair was drawing 8,000 to 9,000 for a regular SEC game. He once drew 14,900 fans in that place for a postseason game. If he did it, it can still happen. It won't happen overnight, but you start this year getting more people in there than they talk, then all of a sudden more people come in. Maybe you get it up to 4,000 this year, and maybe 6 next year.
Never been harder in today's day and age with the cell phones, with social media, just so many different options. It's hard to get people's attention. But, gentlemen, I'll tell you what's got my attention. NCAA tournament expansion. That's back on the men's side. If it ain't broke, why fix it? John Calipari chiming in on that back at SEC Media Days.
I just think you leave it how it is, because if it's not broken, go with the known, leave that unknown alone. We don't know what will happen to it. And I'm not worried about money or anything else. I'm saying that tournament.
Go with the known, leave the rest of it alone. Those were the words from John Calipari there back at the end at SEC Media Days, alluding to possible expansion in the NCAA tournament. Mike, fans don't want it. Players don't want it. Coaches don't want it. You know who wants it? People that are in position to make more money. It seems like it's going to happen. What do you feel the pushback should be to maybe keep it at 64? Or, hey, are you all for the fun? You want to see more teams in the field?
Well, the TV people want it because it generates more money. I'm going to take a total departure from what I usually do. This is totally unpopular. I want it because
I'm shocked.
You want it.
Yes, because I'm a playoff guy. I want to see more teams in the playoffs. I want more football playoffs, more baseball playoffs. Playoff games are much better than regular season games. Let's have a shortened regular season and let's just have playoffs everywhere. I like teams in the playoffs.
But you have a problem with that at its core, and that's NIL and the transfer portal, because these games aren't going to be as competitive if you have a mid-major team who's team number 84 playing team number 76. That's like a Virginia or a bottom feeder ACC team. It's not going to make sense. It's not going to be fair. Why are we expanding just to expand?
They still got a chance. I'm just telling you. this is where you get upsets. And the more people you throw in there, all of a sudden somebody does something you don't think they can do. And it just, I love to watch a game like that where you got this team's an underdog and then all of a sudden you're going, whoa, what? Because I want to see those upsets.
But as a counter argument to that point, I think those upsets are kind of going to go by the wayside, and here's why. What makes the tournament, and why I fell in love with this thing is the little schools. Stephen F. Austin pulling off an upset. Coppin State pulling off an upset. Gonzaga going on long before they were ever Gonzaga. So if we're going to double the field, or what they're going to do, they're going to uphold the integrity of that bracket. That 64-team bracket paper, that's not going to change. They're never going to admit this because they want the gambling, they want the interest. That's what drives the revenue. So Mike, to me, if you expand, you're going to see more bigger brands, fewer upsets.
Well, it depends on how they expand. See, I would take all these teams that aren't in right now and let them play each other for the right to then get it. 2 play-in games, right?
Yeah.
Four. 2 days of it, yeah.
Okay, 4 play-in games. We just have more of them.
That would be the change.
Can I counter quickly? Isn't that the point of the conference tournament, though? If you have a chance in your conference tournament to go on a run, say you're a 5-seed Richmond, for example, you have the opportunity in there to play like 5-seed in the conference, the American Conference. You have a chance in the conference tournament to go on a run there and book your ticket. Isn't that the same thing if we just expand and say, well, they're going to get it anyway? Like, why not? Like, what's the difference?
Maybe what you do is you take these conference runner-ups and so-so conferences that would never get 2 teams and give them a guaranteed bid.
I like that.
And so when I'm not talking about taking teams that didn't play well and giving them another chance. I'm talking about teams that never got a chance and just, hey, I'm in a conference where we got to win our conference or we can't get in. Get 2 teams in for one of those conferences.
Or the 1 seed that wins every game
and then let them play each other for then to get into the regular part of the tournament.
You used the point though, the TV people want it, it's going to make more money. That's why it's going to happen. And they want the brands. They want Florida, Kentucky, Texas, OU. They don't want Robert Morris. They don't want Howard. They don't want Grambling. They want the schools that are the big brands.
But they would take it as a prelude because what it would do is it would start promoting the big thing coming up. So it gets people interested. Oh, NCAA basketball tournament's coming up. We got this first round with all these yo-yo teams. Ooh, who's going to win this? And then you get excited, and then the next week it's there.
I say leave the darn thing alone. To me, I love the charm of these tiny little schools walking down a hall and they have their locker room and they're sharing space with North Carolina and Kansas, and they earned the right to be there. If anything, I say it should go back to 64. Anyways, I digress. One final point here, a couple minutes to go, we want to get to John Calipari also championing an end to the transfer portal. He wants this thing cleaned up.
What if a kid gets hurt 2 times? My thing with transfers, they should be able to transfer once without penalty. And then after that, you can transfer. Just you have to sit out. But you can transfer. Well, I'm not saying don't transfer, but we're doing a disservice to these kids the way it's being handled right now.
So Cal wants it to flat out be 4 to play 5, 5 to play 5, 1 transfer, whatever it may be. Guys, just like 2-3 minutes to go here. Mike, a thought on this. Calipari is absolutely politicking. He wants this changed. He wants it for the betterment of the sport.
Yeah, I like that plan. It's ruining college basketball because when you have somebody come in and they're there 1 year and then they're gone somewhere else.
Mercenaries.
It's just fans can't relate to that. So if you want to draw more fans in, there has to be. You know who the fans love on this team? Trevin Brazil, because he's been here. They like Wagner because at least he's back for a second year. Billy Richmond, they like that. They don't want somebody in here for a year and boom, they're gone. So yeah, let's make that less of a thing.
Evan, take it home, man.
Couldn't have said it any better myself. Unless you're a freshman that goes one and done, I like the transfer once, but after that, stay where you are. You've committed to somewhere. If it doesn't work out, you shouldn't just be able to leave. You've got to be able to do what you sought out to do, and it's why you respect somebody like Mike mentioned. You can go to football and talk about Cam Ball. It's the same idea. So it's respecting the principle of going somewhere and sticking it out.
We got a transfer alert there, Mike?
I've never figured out how to turn that thing off. The sound is down. It just does it anyway.
Look, hey, do not let the age fool you. Nobody is hip with social media quite like Mike Irwin. All right, for Mike Irwin, Evan Camico, I'm Trey Dare. Some fantastic discussion. Really exciting opportunity for Arkansas this year. Maybe they're getting Indianapolis, the Final Four 2026. That will be the destination. John Calipari, been there a bunch of times. Can he get Arkansas back to the highest level in college basketball for the first time since 1995? Thank you for joining us.